Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's Monday, it's video time, and today it's finally time for the snare of the month. And this month we're talking about a very cool snare drum, the Pearl Chad Smith signature snare. First of all, big shout out and thank you to my uncle Peter, who made this amazing new sign for my channel. And another thing, if you like my content, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. We are slowly creeping up towards those 1,000 subscribers that are very important to get into YouTube's monetizing systems. And if you want this channel to someday make any money, please consider subscribing. I'll post a new video every 2 weeks and we have everything in there. Gear, lessons, playing clips, concerts, drum covers, the whole deal. But enough with that, let's talk about this cool snare drum right here. As I've said, it's the Pearl Chad Smith signature snare drum. Chad Smith, of course, being the legendary drummer for the even more legendary band, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This thing is, of course, discontinued because Chad Smith left Pearl a couple of years ago. In fact, now you can buy some other Chad Smith signature snare drums by PDP/DW, and those are completely different snares. They are acrylic and come in different sizes than this one. So they have nothing to do with his old Pearl signature snare drum that we have right here. And if you can't get your hands on one of these, Pearl continued to make this snare drum under another name once Chad Smith left Pearl, but they discontinued that one too. So right now they unfortunately don't have any snare drum exactly like this in their catalog. But if you're interested, you can often find Chad Smith snares and maybe also, you know, some of the newer ones on eBay, Reverb, etc. So far, this is the first snare drum out of my entire Snare of the Month series, and probably even the last out of the midfield price range. All the other snares I've been showing you so far are much more expensive. When this thing came out, the price on it was under 300 euros. So I guess 290, 275, something like that, for the new snare drum. So this is one of those signature snare drums really made for the people, for the fans, so that they can afford their idol's snare drum. But at the same time, every time an artist brings out a signature snare drum in the mid-price range, they might not end up using it themselves. So I'm sure Chad Smith played this drum somewhere along the line, but I don't know if it's featured on any Red Hot Chili Peppers record or if he ever really played it live with the band. He probably has, but at least in the studio, I'm pretty sure that he was using other snare drums. Because, you know, this is a great quality snare drum at this price point, but of course it does not sound like a 1,000 euro snare drum. So I think that's pretty logical, but you know, now I mentioned it. However, it is still not a cheap snare drum because you can buy new snare drums for even less money. So 300 euros for a new snare drum is not nothing. So it's not a cheap snare drum, it's not a cheap sounding snare drum. And in fact, for the price point, it is a very, very good sounding snare drum. So this thing has great value in terms of what you get for the money. In fact, before I went crazy and started buying all those beautiful Yamaha snares I've been talking about, I've been using that snare drum a lot, almost exclusively for an entire year, despite having a Ludwig Supraphonic and a Ludwig Acrolite and some other beautiful snares in my range. That's just how good it is. And in fact, I know a lot of people using that snare drum as well, despite having a great collection of much more expensive snare drums. But on the other hand, ever since I got my beautiful collection of Yamaha snares, I haven't been using this one at all. And it felt kind of weird when I pulled it out earlier this day, so I needed some time to get used to it again. In the beginning, I didn't like it, it was very weird. But then again, after an hour or two, I started liking and loving it again. It's a fun snare. But of course, it's not a super high-end dream snare. Sound-wise, you know, if you want that open, ringy, loud, powerful, cracking Chad Smith Red Hot Chili Peppers snare drum sound, here you go. This is exactly what it does. The steel shell gives you a lot of overtones and it's very bright and very loud and very cracking. So this is probably not the greatest jazz snare drum, but if you want that punchy, rocky, loud, funky, open Chad Smith kind of sound, you can definitely get that on his signature snare drum. So let's talk some specs now. As I mentioned before, This is a steel snare drum. I always liked steel snare drums. And that's another thing. I think it's very good to have a steel snare drum within one's snare drum arsenal to pull that sound out if needed. So this has a 14x5 black nickel plated steel shell. So it also looks very cool with the black nickel finish that we all know and love from, for example, the black nickel plated brass snare drums like Ludwig's Black Beauty and so on. So this has this kind of look. It features the Pearl Super Hoop, which is a triple flange tube that I like very, very much. And it features those, bridge style lugs. As you can see, they only make kind of minimal contact with the shell. Standard Pearl snare strainer with the 20 snare wires. So I also like those very much. And nice throw off, works very well to the side. Completely new Remo coated ambassador on the Vater side, and also a new Remo ambassador snare side on the snare side. So I hope you enjoy this video and now also the sound of the snare drum. As always, I'm demoing the sound completely without EQ and effects so that you can really get, a realistic hearing experience. And as always, in different tunings and dampening methods and so on. Enjoy the demo and I see you at the end of the video. That's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I'll hit you up with a completely new video in 2 weeks. Until then, please make sure to subscribe to the channel right here. If you're interested in learning hand technique with me, I have a completely free 17-episode course on hand technique right here on YouTube. Go check that out. Also check out all the other different stuff going on here on the channel, and I'll see you again very soon.